I'm so glad you came in. Okay. So, you're the one with the really adorable cottage, right? Okay, great. I've been looking forward to your garden plan. Say cottage gardens are one of my absolute favorite types of gardens to plan. You can do so much, and I really like to get a client's input because there's just so many fun things you can do with the cottage garden. It's open to interpretation and your own sort of individual input and flair you can throw in there with little accents and everything. So I would say that for today, I'm mainly going to be giving you suggestions, and I want you to have the final say in how the garden gets planned ultimately, okay? Because I want it to be to your touch and to your taste in the end, okay? Alright, so I like to use these books to get some ideas, but I've set up a binder of all the different flowers I think are going to go fabulously in your garden, and some that you might find really pretty. So I already got the photos and I've set up a diagram, and then we can sort of work on arranging some of these plants and talk about what elements we want to include, as well as you don't have a garden path from your driveway to the front door, right? And you need one to the sidewalk too, if you want. Personally, I think cottage gardens really look so romantic with the sidewalk to front door path and leading sometimes even through a front yard garden. Yeah, so we could talk about doing that. And remember, this is really important. You don't have to finish your garden in 1 year. Gardens, you have to develop it over several years because you don't know how things are going to grow in. Maybe some things won't really take to your garden as much as other things do, okay? So we're not rushing through anything. If you want to add some elements this year and then do more next year, that is very wise, okay? Alright, so there's a couple of things that I wanted to suggest right in the beginning here. So let me get this. What I really suggest we include in your garden is a centerpiece or side interest trellis. I'm also thinking of maybe a wall leaning trellis as well in the front, but I think a very striking honeysuckle trellis will look absolutely gorgeous in your front yard. Okay, so since we're only working on the front yard, I would like to build this separation between the grass and the plants. And I think what we can do is do a rock border along with a hill type of bed leading into the house, okay? So something like this. So thinking of something like this where we have the rock border and then the house is back here, and this sort of races up from a hill from your front lawn, okay? those are a couple elements I think will be really important in my final design. And I really want to do a couple of stone garden paths. So one, I would like to go from the driveway. So we're thinking of a stone garden path like this. And then one from the sidewalk to the front. I'm thinking of something that's not necessarily just a straight path, but maybe something that does a little S-curve right to your front door. Okay. You know, it's also really good for the male people because they don't have to walk across your grass or walk through the driveway if there's cars there. You know, it can block them from getting up to your front door. Okay, so I think something like that is going to be really nice. So now I'd like to show you some of the plants that I've selected. Created a little binder here, and I've gone through and made a full selection of plants, taking into account height, color, season of interest, and also your sun situation. So you're actually pretty fortunate because your front yard gets a lot of sun. You have a south-facing front yard, so we can plant a ton of beautiful flowers. Now you do have a couple pockets that get more shady, notably the area by the driveway, right? Yeah, and I guess there will be a bit of shade by your bay window in the front, right? So we're only doing the front yard, so we don't have to think about the backyard quite yet, but I'm guessing your backyard is quite a bit shady. Well, for the backyard, what we can do is plant a lot of, something like lettuces do well, and lettuce and herbs are such a key part of the cottage garden. So you can add a lot of shade-loving perennials in the backyard, along with the lettuces and some more shade-tolerant herbs. Okay. Well, how about you come a little bit closer and I could show you what I have here for you, okay? So we're starting out with our spring interest perennials. All of these plants are going to be blooming in the springtime. And right up the top here we have an ornamental onion. It's Allium gladiator. And I selected this particular variety because of the very large globe clusters of flowers. These can be up to 6 inches in diameter, so they're very big. So you can imagine 6 inches is very large flower head. And this one also grows very tall, so it's going to do very beautifully at the back end of the spring border. Okay. And what's also really nice about allium is that after the flower has finished, it dries into a really beautiful dried ball flower, and you can cut that off and put it into a dried arrangement. Okay. And then I selected a couple of daffodils as well. I don't think any garden is complete without a couple of daffodils popping up in the springtime. This one up here is a smiling maestro, and this one down here is ice follies, which is a little bit of an easier variety because it naturalizes really well. And naturalizing means that it spreads and it sort of makes its home very easily in your garden. Okay. So these are also a couple of spring interest flowers. We have a couple of different types of hyacinths and also a sort of ground cover creeping phlox. And as you can see, creeping phlox does really well along rocky borders. And I think it's going to look very stunning in the front yard, creeping over our new rock border right by the lawn that we set up. Okay. And then of course a couple of different hyacinths, hollyhock and blue pearl. They just do really well in the spring garden, and they pair really well with daffodils. You can see one up here. And then another spring traditional. I've selected these 3 varieties of tulips: Olympic Flame, World Peace, and Sweetheart. All different colors that complement each other really well and complement some of the cooler shades, the purple and the blue, as well as the pink. And now we have some flaming warm colors. All of them are going to look beautiful in the springtime as a cut flower. Out of the 3, I would say that Sweetheart is going to be the most hardy out of them. But we'll see. We might have some good luck getting Olympic Flame and World Peace to keep coming up year after year. Okay. And now we're moving into the transitionary period, spring, summer. So these are blooming in spring and into summer, so we're going to get some overlap. And up here we have columbine, which is going to do pretty well in the shade, so we're probably going to end up putting that one by the driveway. As you can see, beautiful blue and white flowers. And then I've selected out this tick seed variety, Coreopsis Early Sunrise. Tick seed is a favorite of butterflies, and it's very easy to take care of. It's tolerant of a wide range of conditions. And then right here, I've selected Shasta Daisy Alaska. And what I really like about this cultivar is that it's very long lasting and the blooms are very large. So you just get such a traditional cottage garden favorite, the Shasta Daisy, and you get this very durable and beautiful cultivar that's going to be blooming almost all season long. So now a couple more spring summers. This delphinium is another cottage garden classic. You could see how beautiful this blue is, and they bloom this true blue color, and they really shoot up their spikes into the air, and they stand out a lot in the garden. And then another one is the foxglove, which is a big star in the cottage garden as well, along with the delphinium. And I've selected this cultivar Arctic Fox because of the very, very large flowers that it puts out. These flowers can be up to 4 to 5 inches long, which is just incredible. They're also very, very repellent of any pests because they are poisonous. So if you do have a dog at home that likes seed plants, we might caution against putting the foxglove because they are pretty poisonous. Okay. And then down here we have Heuchera Paris. Now this is another shade lover, so it's going to be going by the columbine, and what it's really going to stand out doing is brightening up that shady place And you can see why, because of this beautiful frosty foliage. Not to mention the gorgeous blooms that it shoots out, but the foliage of your chair is just beautiful. And it really makes us stand out after the blooms have finished. Okay, and now I've selected out this iris variety, Red Ember. Irises are always going to be a favorite because of their long vase life. You will cut iris flower out and it will last a long time as a cut flower. I've also selected this lilac variety, Tiny Dancer. So this is a smaller variety, so it's not going to take up too much space in the front yard. And I think lilac is just a fantastic plant. It smells wonderful. You can take some cut flowers and bring them in for that wonderful scent. This particular variety is very hardy, and you can expect to attract a lot of butterflies and birds with lilac always. And then also a lavender variety. This is Lavender Phenomenal, and it's just a phenomenal variety. Okay. Another early summer staple is lupine, and we can plant any sort of colors we decide, or we can do a variety like we see in this photo. It has beautiful, attractive foliage. You can see this almost star-shaped pattern to the foliage as well. And then we have Penstemon, Red Riding Hood. Common name is Beardstongue. Just beautiful, attracts hummingbirds, attracts butterflies. It has kind of a stocky habit to it. It doesn't grow super tall with the foliage, but the spikes shoot up very, very tall, 30 inches, and stays nice and clumped. And then also larger perennial is peony. This is Coral Charm, and it has a gorgeous color, as you can see. Not too large, but a decent size. It tolerates some shade, so we're going to probably be putting it next to the driveway. And they mature early on in the season, and has a beautiful smell, and it's just a very hardy variety. Okay, and here we have an Oriental Poppy, Poppy Allegro. Beautiful orange color, gonna really stand out. It's got beautiful foliage and silky petals. It's beautiful in the garden. And then we have Salvia Rose Marble, and Salvia is just fantastic. It's very clumpy, so it doesn't spread out and look all leggy, and it reblooms without much maintenance. So beautiful, and I just love this pink variety of salvia. There's another salvia variety. Salvia comes in a lot of different height options, and I've selected a couple of shorter options, so we can put them to the front of the border. And this is a much darker purple salvia, as you can see. Salvia Little Night. It's beautiful. Attracts a lot of bees and butterflies. And then we have another Shasta Daisy variety. A little bit more of a fun cultivar. This one's called Banana Cream. And you can see that it's got these banana colored flowers. They come in banana colored and then age to more white. And it also has this extra row of petals down here, you can see. So it gives a much fuller look to the flower. Just really, really cute. And then I've selected this spiderwort variety mainly because of the gorgeous color of the foliage. You can see the name blue and gold, blue flowers, and this golden yellow foliage is very spiky. It's very easy to grow. It doesn't require a lot of maintenance, and it thrives in a wide variety of conditions. Okay, so now we're moving into the summer season. So these are going to be starting to bloom a bit later, in the middle of summer about, we'll say. And up here is a Stilby Unique Pink. So the Stilbies are another shade lover. You can see they come out with these beautiful feathery plumes of flowers. I love this pink variety. And it's going to look so nice by the heuchera. Then here we have a clematis, and this is what I'd really love to put on a leaning trellis in the front. You can see these beautiful purpley blue flowers. It's a great climber, it's a profuse bloomer, and it's just fantastic. It's dependable as well. You can see how well it climbs up and stays full along the trellis. And then we also have the daylily. Now this is a very standard variety, Stella d'Oro. It's great at reblooming, and it's not as finicky as some of the more fun hybrids, so this is why I picked Stella d'Oro. And of course, I'd had to pick a hydrangea. Maybe we'll put this hydrangea next to the front steps. Hydrangeas are just such a standout in the summer. They bloom beautifully and they attract a lot of pollinator bees. And Incredible is one of the best. It has these massive globe blooms, you could see. And then I've also selected an ornamental lily. This is Stargazer, just a standard lily. I don't like to plant too many lilies because they are kind of a one and done type of flower. They bloom once and then they're done. And they don't last in a long amount of time, but they are absolutely gorgeous when they bloom, as you can see. They're very showy. They add color and contrast. And this variety Stargazer is a great naturalizer in the garden. And then I've also selected out a bee balm. This is Leading Lady Lilac. I mainly selected this variety because of how almost glow in the dark the flowers are. They're just this beautiful color that stands out just incredibly against the darker foliage. They are prolific spreaders, so it's something you have to watch out for in the garden, but they attract a ton of pollinators, so it's not too bad of a problem to have. So up here is a pincushion flower, butterfly blue. They look very similar to the bee balm, but the flowers shoot up in very long spikes and they kind of have a very whimsical look about them. They attract butterflies and they look really, really good with yellow flowers, such as the Stella d'Oro. And then here's another Shasta daisy. This one's called Crazy Daisy. You can see why these very, very feathery, crazy looking blooms. No two flowers look alike, so they're just very, very beautiful. And then a dianthus. This one is fire star. So dianthus have a really nice clumping habit, and also this icy blue-green foliage, which helps these bright red flowers stand out. I like it a lot. And then we have a blanket flower. This one is Mesa Peach. Just a beautiful flower, yellow and red and peachy colors in here. It's got a lot of vigor, especially during hot days. It loves full sun. Okay, moving into the summer and fall interest flowers. I have here a selection of echinacea, also known as coneflowers. Up here we have Sombrero Baja Burgundy, Prima Donna Deep Rose, more of a traditional echinacea, and then a very fun echinacea, Double Scoop Orangeberry. Very easy to grow and just a beautiful summer fall interest. Echinacea is definitely a go-to in the sunny garden. And then I have selected Akistaki Blue Fortune as well. It's a great pollinator plant, prairie plant. It's native in a lot of places and just adds a little bit more humbleness to the garden. And then also anemone, leather, and lace. Beautiful white, pinkish little flowers. Very hardy and does well in a shadier area, so we'll probably be pairing these with these stilbees. And then also the butterfly bush. This is Nanho purple, and since you want pollinators, this is going to be the one to really attract them. Just fantastic long blooms, attracts a wide variety of moths, butterflies, and hummingbirds. And what is so beautiful about it as well is it has these beautiful purple flowers and then almost a grayish colored foliage, so it adds a little bit of interesting color. Alright, and now we have another Coreopsis variety. This one is Moonbeam. You can see that it's quite different from early sunrise. Moonbeam has a bit darker foliage as well as lighter colored flowers, almost white. It's very, very cute. Flowers are very tiny and prolific. And then hibiscus. This is a perennial hibiscus and it grows into be a very large bush almost. These flowers are almost dinner plate sized. 9 inches about wide, and they are just gorgeous. It's definitely a late bloomer, so you won't be seeing blooms sometimes into August, but once it blooms, it is just a showstopper. It's going to be beautiful. And Mars Madness especially is nice because of this darker foliage. And then we have a red hot poker variety. This is Fire Dance. Definitely a favorite among pollinators. Just a gorgeous flower, you could say. So this is a honeysuckle variety I would like to put on a trellis in the front. This is Major Wheeler. It's a very consistent variety. It's a native plant and it's a very fast grower, and you will attract so many hummingbirds with Major Wheeler. And then another red flower. This lobelia is also a native plant. Very tall, 36 to 40-inch spikes with these beautiful butterfly wing-like flowers. Just beautiful. And then a grass variety. I didn't pick too many grasses for your garden because I wanted to focus on flowers for this year. But I did pick out this grass. It's a very large grass, so I'll have to tuck it closer to the back end of the border. But grass is just a beautiful part of the garden, especially in the winter time. And it also provides shelter for pollinators and other little critters, so it's just a great thing to have. So I don't think the cottage garden would be complete without at least a rose variety. So I have Lady of Shalott and the Knockout. And the Knockout is just such a great rose for beginners, so I think we would like to put it in there. And then Lady of Shalott is just love that peachy color, something different. Lady of Shalott is disease resistant, blooms continuously, and also has a kind of a tea-like fragrance to it, so it's just beautiful. And then another phlox, but this one's not creeping phlox, it's just a regular phlox, which gets a lot taller, 36 inches. And this one is David, which is a white variety. So this up here, Rudbeckia Goldstrom, is Black-Eyed Susan. Black-Eyed Susan is just gorgeous because of how long it blooms, summer into fall. These beautiful yellow flowers, and it's also very low maintenance. And then I've also selected a couple of sedum varieties. This is Dynamite, and this is Autumn Joy. It's beautiful pinkish, orangey flowers, and Dynamite is just this rich, saturated purpley pink color. And also, sedum has that added interest of their foliage being almost succulent-like. And last but not least, Liatris Blazing Star, also known as Gay Feather. Gorgeous, tall, pink spikes, 48 inches tall, just shooting up above your garden. Attracts a lot of pollinators and looks really beautiful right next to the Black-Eyed Susans. Okay. So, I wanted to give you a couple of ideas of different elements that you can include. And I want this to be your choice because these sort of elements are just an integral part of the homeowner's taste and style. So with the cottage garden, you can really go with any style. You can go with something bright and fun. You could also do like a traditional bird bath. You could do something cute and have some sort of critter type of bird bath like this. It's really up to you. But I do recommend you put a bird bath. Here's another example. Bright red would definitely stand out. You can also include some planters with perennial plants in it. Now I would select some very hardy perennials to put into a planter, since they tend to get colder and they risk at freezing a little bit too much when they're not in the ground. But some stand-out centerpiece planter is an option. Even statues. such as this little gnome. You could have him perched onto a window. Have this girl with a bird, a little dragon hatching, or not necessarily traditional to the cottage garden, a gargoyle. Just be a little more gothic, but like I said, it's up to the homeowner's taste. And this was going to be my suggestion for the centerpiece trellis with the honeysuckle growing up it. This type would really be a fan of honeysuckle because they like to shoot up and stay on top of a trellis, so this would be great for them with this mushroom top trellis. And then here's another option for a trellis on the side of the home. This one's a metal one which you attach, or you could go with the leaning style where it's just leaning on the side of the house for the clematis. Okay. Okay, weren't those some beautiful options? All right, so now I would like to talk about some potential arrangements. So I have here the front of your home, and we're going to be discussing where we would like to place these flowers. So put the allium in the back because it's very tall, and we can border the front steps with the hyacinths. Pair some of the tulips with them, like that. I really like this pairing of the smiling maestro and the gladiator there. Would like to put the creeping phlox probably along the border, along the side of the house here, east side. I think for the springtime we can look at this type of arrangement. The hyacinths boarding the front walk, tulips, the white complementing the red and the orange complementing the blue, and over here onto the east side, the daffodils, creeping phlox, and alliums like this. Okay. So for spring, summer, we have quite a few more options. Some larger plants too. So we will put the peonies over here by the driveway. Right here, this area gets enough sun for them. And we'll put the lilac close to the walkway here so you can get a scent when you walk outside. And let's see what other pairings we can do. your chair should go over here. This is the shadiest area, along with the columbine. See, do the coreopsis close by here, along with the foxglove peeking out like that. I think the poppy foliage complements the Shasta daisy very well, as well as a purple night dancer salvia and lupine. Put the iris there. And put the spiderwort there. So, the pathway to the driveway is going to come like this, and we're thinking pathway to the sidewalk is going to come out like that. Okay. So this is kind of what I'm thinking for spring, summer. We got a good variety of colors across the board and a lot of complementary things going on. We have the Shasta daisies spread out here to the east side, and peonies over by the driveway. Lilac right by the front steps so you can smell it when you come out. Okay. So for summer, I want to put this hydrangea right by the front steps. It would look beautiful with the daylilies spilling out over the pathway to the driveway. There's a couple options where we can put the clematis. We could put it here, or we could put it here. I just would like it to kind of frame the bay window. What do you think about that? Yeah. Something climbing up right by your front door. It's going to look beautiful. And putting the blanket flower over here to the east side is still be in your shady corner over here. Bee balm, Asiatic lily together, and this Shasta daisy moved slightly over this way because the other Shastas are over here. Okay. This is where a lot of the other big players are coming into play. I like to put the roses spread out here, along with the perennial hibiscus off to the east side. Just going to create a focal point over here. The butterfly bush in the center. You'll look out your bay window. You'll be able to watch all of the butterflies going there. And then the grass kind of tucked into the corner a little bit. And Coreopsis moonbeam and your Baja sombrero, is that what it's called? Echinacea. The Rudbeckia as well with the other echinacea. I'm going to put the Agasaki Blue Fortune close to the butterfly bush. The sedums are going to go close to the border edge. They do really well in the rock garden. Let's see. Really like the anemone by the hibiscus. I think they complement each other really well. Very light colored flowers and foliage contrasted with the very rich flowers and dark foliage. Red hot poker and the butterfly bush beside each other is going to look really nice. What I would like to do for next year is to create a drift right here, right next to your pathway to the driveway, And I think we could start that by putting the trellis there for this year and then planting that drift next year. Okay? We can even create a drift that borders the driveway. We'll probably leave a little bit of space here at the driveway, a couple feet of grass, just in case someone backs out wrong. So let me know what you think about that, okay? Well, it was an absolute honor to help design your garden.